A few books that I read has honestly changed my life. One of them, for example, has been Tim Glover's Relentless, and that's what I want to talk about in today's podcast. Now, it's been a minute since I read his book, but honestly, after just listening to a few clips about the audio all over again, it got me thinking that where I currently am right now with my mindset has a lot to do with this book. And if you guys are tuning in for the first time, well, hey, welcome. Coach Joe here with Heartletics.com, and this is the Heartletics podcast, where I'm here to just kind of share with you guys some tips, some tricks on how to make your life a little bit easier and most importantly, better. And really focus on is just helping guys transform not just their physical bodies, but most importantly, their mindset. And today's episode, we're going to be talking about Tim Glover's book, Relentless. And most importantly, just two of the biggest principles that I took away that happened to be kind of like life-changing moments for me, but I honestly can't say that because it hasn't been until I looked back, right? Steve Jobs has a great quote out there. He says, "You cannot connect the dots looking forward in life. You can only connect the dots looking backwards in life." And at the time when I first read the book, this was just kind of like skimming through it. I'm like, all right, this is cool. I get it, right? It's all about just grit, grind. And I want to kind of learn a little bit more about just the training, honestly. That's why I got the book and read the book, because I'm a huge Michael Jordan fan. And in case nobody knows who Tim Glover is, he was Michael Jordan's trainer. He also trained Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, several different sport athletes. And what was interesting is the fact that at the time he was actually struggling to find a job. And he hit up MJ, and so Michael Jordan just said, okay, you got 30 days. Plain and simple, because I guess Michael Jordan, I forget who he was playing, I think the Pistons, was pretty upset the fact that they were kind of bullying him around. He wasn't as strong as how he wanted to be, and so he gave Tim Glover the shot for 30 days and ended up sticking right with it the whole entire duration of his career and was his main go-to trainer. And it's pretty cool. It's honestly a really good motivating book to read, but out of the whole entire book, here are the biggest two takeaways that probably have changed my life the most. And fingers crossed that this really kind of wakes you up and helps you change your life as well. Because just like Steve Jobs says, you cannot connect the dots looking forward in life. You can only connect the dots looking backwards in life. So fingers crossed, I say something in here to help motivate you. That way you can, have success years down the road and, master your fat loss journey and master your mindset. And you can look back and say, hey, that Coach Joe guy, I listened to his podcast and what he said kind of stuck with me. And fingers crossed that this episode could do that for you. So here's the first thing, okay? And this is where Tim Glover talks about, you got to go from good to great to unstoppable. And he uses the metaphors of, there's a cooler, there's a closer, and there's a cleaner, right? And he's talking about the cleaner is those guys that are unstoppable. But most importantly is that these guys are relentless. And it's just not relentless in their work ethic. It's mainly relentless in their mindset. I mean, honestly, think about your favorite sports athlete. Obviously, mine was MJ. I just loved his dedication, but I also love how brutally honest he was. If his teammates sucked or had a bad day or a bad game, whatever, he would tell them, right? If his teammates weren't rising up. I remember also just and you can watch The Last Dance on Netflix. It's a great series about, MJ with his career. He flew somewhere to go get Dennis Rodman and brought him back to practice, and Dennis Rodman showed up in his pajama pants, and it's just one of those things where MJ was so focused on winning the championship, he didn't let anybody, including his teammates, hold him back. And that's why he had several different trainers, several different coaches, just he wanted to be the best. And I love that, right? A lot of his teammates thought he wasn't the nicest person, plain and simple. But I can respect that because sometimes, when you're trying to, really reach your goals and you got people holding yourself back, hey, you're not going to be nice, right? And it's all about ripping off the Band-Aid and diving all in. And this is what Tim Glover talks about when it comes to becoming unstoppable and really becoming relentless is you have to go all in. I mean, honestly, I can't stress this out the most. You have to just go all in. I know a lot of guys that, they're 1 foot in, they're 1 foot out. They'll try something. Let's say they're trying to lose weight, burn some body fat. They'll try something for, I don't know, right? A few short weeks. But as soon as life throws them a curveball, it's just like they immediately throw in the towel and they give up. They go back to their old ways. And it's just like, how fully invested were you in the first place if when life throws you some kind of adversity, whether it's something at work, maybe some stress, maybe stress at home, maybe it's an injury, or maybe it's travels, whatever the case may be, why are you so willing to use that as an excuse to just give up? And it just goes to show you that, like, so many people these days, honestly, they're afraid to go all in. There's a big phrase out there, and I use it all the time. People can talk the talk or people can walk the walk. Well, hey, look at somebody. Like, this is why I'm a big advocate of, like, hey, if you're trying to lose weight and burn body fat, the worst thing that you can do is make a Facebook post. Why? Because you're going to get all these people that are, let's just say, quote unquote, nutritionists, right? Social media nutritionists, right? Social media dietitians, social media coaches. And they're going to tell you, oh, cut out carbs, do fasting, do this. This is what worked for me. This is what worked for me. Do it, da 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 da. And then you go to their profile photo and you look at them, because I see this stuff all the time. And I'm like, if this person was so credible as to giving advice to this person on how to lose body fat effectively, why do they look the way that they do? Why are they not taking their own, advice? And I know that might seem kind of hard, right? And like, kind of like a D-bag thing to say, but at the end of the day, it's the truth. Right? Somebody might say, but Joe, don't judge a book by its cover. No, like, legit, you should judge a book by its cover. If I was fat and overweight and out of shape and had horrible energy to play with my kid, right, and have blood pressure and high cholesterol and maybe even potentially type 2 diabetes, and I was telling you I can change your life and I can help you burn body fat and I can help you get off your meds and help you also increase your energy levels, are you really going to sign up for me? Probably not, right? So actions speak louder than words. And so, like, the biggest thing that I learned, honestly, from Tim Glover's book, the first part, is obviously you got to be relentless. But what does that mean? You got to go all in. Like, honestly, like, the way that I truly live my life is I know that we're not promised tomorrow, right? I see it, in family. I see it in, other people that, like, anybody and anything could happen. Everybody wants job security. Well, what about life security? Because at the end of the day, like, you can work so hard, right? For that retirement fund and, your pension and your 401k. But at the end of the day, like, you could instantly get hit by a bus or a nasty car accident or just, get a heart attack, honestly, because you don't take care of your own health. And that could happen right when you get, retired from your job. So it's just like you just worked so hard to save that money and you didn't focus on your health. You didn't focus on yourself or creating better memories and being happy in life. Well, hey, did you really bring the bank account to the graveyard? No. But you did bring the memories and the experiences. And how I live my life is I go all in with whatever it is that I say I'm going to do. I'm going to do to the fullest. Why? Because to me, that's living a life worthwhile. Like, honestly, like, I paint this picture in my head and it might sound kind of like sick, but it's just how I think, right? If I was going to die, right? And let's just say, like, tomorrow I die, whatever, right? God's looking down at me or God's having a conversation with me. He's like, hey, Joe, right? Like, how was it down there? I'm like, oh, man, it was great. Like, I started my own business. It was fun. I got to help all these guys, like, get off their medications and help thousands of guys burn body fat, right? I was, like, really just living my best life with my family, just having fun down there. And he's like, oh, man, that was great. That sounds awesome. He's like, hey, come over here, Joe. And he brings me to a movie theater. And, like, we're sitting down having some popcorn. And God's just like, hey, take a look at this. And this is, like, the video, the movie, right, of, like, Joe Callari of the life that God had in store for me. And it was way better and way bigger than what I was actually doing. But maybe the reason I didn't do that or have that experiences that God wanted me to have was because I was too afraid to trust him. I was too afraid to take my own actions. I was too afraid, right? I didn't have the courage to dive all in. And that's how I live my life. With whatever it is that I do, I literally say I'm going to do it. That's just how I live my life. It's got me in a lot of great places and a lot of bad places, right? Like, I'm also that type of individual where if somebody tells me don't do something, like my parents, right? Hey, don't do this. I like to do it, right? Just because I want to know why I can't do something and why I shouldn't. And, that caused me a lot of, great memories and bad memories at the same time. I'll just say it at that. But regardless, you got to have that mentality, right? Go all in. What do you have to lose? I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? Just go all in. And I know it's very scary to think that way. And it, you might be thinking, Joe, that's way easier than said than done. I got a family. I got a job. I got to put food on the table, right? Like, I can't do this and I can't do this. No, you can't do that because you keep on telling yourself you can't do that. The only limitations that you have is the ones that you keep on telling yourself in your own mindset. Honestly, that is it. It's just the lies that you continue to tell yourself and the self-limiting beliefs, right, that have you on this ball and chain of the past. Honestly, you need to switch the way that you think about your life, and you need to just literally just say it like this, is instead of saying oh, I can't do this because of XYZ, why don't you just say, okay, how can I find a way to do this? Because think about it. If you're saying you can't do something, well, guess what? You fixed mindset, boom, you immediately shut the door. So with you painting the picture, maybe you can't do something because of, genetics, right? Which is just a lie. Maybe you can't do something because of you're too busy, right? Which, once again, a complete lie. Maybe you can't do something because maybe you tried everything before in the past and it didn't work out for you. Once again, a complete lie. So instead, you got to change the way that you think and change the way that you ask yourself. So instead of saying oh, hey, I can't do this, instead flip the switch and say, how can I do this? And maybe that could be the first step to helping you rip off the Band-Aid and going all in. Honestly. Because when you decide to go all in, no ifs, ands, or buts, and what do I mean by that? That means this is your life and you're taking full ownership of it. You are taking control. Meaning that, guess what? You become the sum of the 5 people that you hang around with the most. Les Brown says it best, birds of a feather flock together. Hang around with losers in life, you become a loser. Hang around with winners in life, you become a winner. Sometimes you got to cut ties with people in your life. Sometimes you got to cut ties with your friends and family. Because if they're not helping you progress to where you're trying to get to, they're in the way. They're holding you back. And I don't mean cut them out of your life completely, but what I do mean is simply just keep them at a distance. Honestly. And there's nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, if they truly loved you and truly cared about you and they want nothing but the best for you, they would respect that. Or, best case, they will feel inspired to actually make a change and say, oh man, shoot, that guy's got a point. I'm holding him back. I got to step it up. I got to level up in life. So that's the first thing that I learned that really changed my life from Tim Glover's book, Relentless, is you have to go all in. Don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. The second thing is this. Move towards pressure. I'm about to piss off a lot of people. I already know it when I say this, because I always do. But you need to learn how to embrace the pain, right? I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but pain is a really good thing, honestly. You have to learn how to embrace the pain and not sugarcoat it either, right? Meaning that hey, you're going through a hard time, mentally think, can it be worse? Odds are it can, right? You got to embrace the pain. I always say it like this, whenever we're trying to help somebody out or talk to somebody about their health and fitness goals, there's always 2 types of reasons why somebody gets signed up. Either they want to move one step closer to pleasure, or they want to move one step farther away from the pain. I'll put it to you like this. Maybe you want to lose 20 pounds. Well, okay, cool. That's pleasure, right? 20 pounds lighter. Maybe you have more energy, right? Whatever the case may be. Guess what? That's great. Or maybe you want to get off your medications. Maybe you want to live longer. Maybe you don't want to feel so depressed and lacking confidence and lacking self-esteem. Well, guess what? Now you're moving away from pain. And when you have pain, it's going to push you to greatness as long as you have the right mindset. That's very key. See, when I first got started off with Heartletics, I had friends, I had family that told me, like, you're never going to have success. And I still remember that, like, verbatim, people's words saying that, piercing not just my ears, but my heart, right? Like, in fact, like the only person that honestly has truly, truly cared about my business and like asked me questions about Heartletics and always just like want to make sure like, hey, how's just simple things like, hey, how's your business going? All right. Like simple things like was my mother-in-law, my wife's mom. Like she's the only person that has literally ever asked me like, how's your business going? Like since from the start to where we are right now, 6 years deep. She's always been asking me like, hey, how's the business going? How's it? The only one that truly cared. Like she, like honestly, like she would buy hoodies, buy shirts, and like that means the world to me. Okay. But here's the thing. Having other people that's going to say like, hey man, you're not going to have success, or, that's stupid, or, do something else. Guess what? Like that pain pushed me to work 10 times harder. Because every time I was tired, every time I felt like, let's say not doing a podcast, not, focusing on this or the business, not doing this marketing campaign or this email campaign, whatever the case may be. I just always thought about, okay, well, hey, at the end of the day, I got people in my life I got to prove wrong, right? And like, there's people that always, right, on a daily basis, they want to spill their 2 cents, right, on my Facebook ads, right, about like, all this garbage, right? I kid you not. People are the biggest keyboard warriors, like on Facebook ads. So like, I love it because it just makes me work 10 times harder, and I use all that pain to push me to greatness. And like some of you guys out there, you don't understand what pain is. You don't understand what pressure is. And like, you miss out on the finer things of life. Like success loves to leave clues. I'm sure you heard the phrase, right? Pressure builds diamonds. Well, when you guys are going through a hard time in your life, trying to burn body fat, and let's say you're dealing with adversity or dealing with some stress or an injury or whatever the case may be, why don't you think to yourself, pressure builds diamonds? Why don't you think of yourself as a diamond that you're trying to build and form and transform into? Michael Jordan, right? I'm sure you heard the quote. Right? It goes it's literally everywhere. Nike even has a commercial about it. MJ missed over 9,000 shots, right? He lost over 300 games. In fact, the game-winning shot, he was trusted with the ball, I think like 26 times, and he missed. Well, guess what? Do you think he just like quit playing basketball after that? Like, hey, sorry, Tim, I lost the game-winning shot for the, playoffs or for the finals, like, I'm going to retire. Peace out, Girl Scout. Like, no. Like, you can't become the greatest of all time with that mentality. But yet, why do you guys try to focus on becoming the best version of yourself, but having that mentality of a quitter and giving up when times get hard? Why he's successful is because when he missed, he went right back to practice. He made sure he didn't miss again. He continued to try and try and try and try. It's just like in Napoleon Hill in his book, 3 Feet from Gold. Right? You got that miner trying to dig away at the gold, and he gives up. Somebody else comes right in after him, digs 3 more feet in that same, landmine, and he ends up finding the gold. Because the person gave up way too soon. And maybe you've been giving up on your dreams way too soon. I hate to say this, but like, Americans, we are lazy. And we're only going to get even more lazier with AI, technology popping off. Like it's scary what to really expect, right? From just what's going to come in the future. Unless we take ownership and we take action that this is your life and you got to take control. If you want to make a change, you got to be willing to put in the work. You know that like nearly 50% of Americans are considered obese? I don't understand that, like at all. And actually, I do understand it. Fast food, so convenient. right? Food in your fridge, super convenient, right? All these different things, right? You want food, just go somewhere. Uber Eats, right? Like DoorDash, whatever the case may be. Convenient, 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 which makes us lazy, 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 lazy. Because we're not getting up, we're not moving, we're not working towards something, But also, like, it baffles me because how lazy we are with just our physical fitness, it also transformed into most people's finances. Why is it that over 50% of Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings account? That blows my mind. We live in the most prosperous country in the world, the most abundant country in the world, and yet over half of us have less than 50% in our savings account, right? Excuse me, I messed that up. More than 50% of us as Americans have less than $1,000 in our savings account. $1,000. You probably got a whole bunch of crap sitting at home, right? They can go, sell on Facebook land. You can literally go donate plasma and get a couple $100. You can just learn a little bit more about like financial independence. Like all this information out there is available for free. Look up Dave Ramsey, for example. You don't have to be a rocket scientist or a financial advisor to know about mutual funds. It's just, you're scared. Just like how I talked about in part 1 about going all in, you're scared to go even all in with your finances to get financial independence one day. You're scared to invest. Obviously going through a recession right now and a lot of people are very fearful. I love it. It's like going to the Apple store and everything's like marked off 50%. Like, yes, like let me put in more money now, get my cost average low. Because if you guys understand trends and if you guys understand like, recessions and history of like literally how the economy works, it's not going to be like this forever. It's a storm. You think it's going to be winter for the rest of your life? No. It's going to eventually get back to normal. I'm not saying this is going to happen in a few months. I'm not going to say it's going to happen by the end of the year. But at the end of the day, like a lot of people right now are taking opportunities. And I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money. But you can at least be smarter and work a little bit harder to at least save up more. What does that mean? Stop sitting on your butt. Go get a side hustle, right? You can literally just like delete spam Yelp reviews and make $700 a week. $100 a day, just literally sitting at home, which you're probably doing anyways, deleting spam Yelp reviews. Like, you guys have to literally learn how to just think differently. And that's your issue, is you got this fixed mindset and you're stuck mentally. And like, this is why we make sure that when we help out guys, we help change their mindsets first before even the fat loss, We get hundreds of guys that get off their medications. John literally just made a post this morning about, lowering down his A1C levels, no more scares about, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, nothing like that. We see that all the time. You have to change somebody's mindset. You have to change somebody's outlook in life. Because once you're able to do that, once they can see themselves differently and see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and they can see that there's success out there, it can happen in their lives. Robert Banniston ran the 4-minute mile. Before that, everybody, including doctors, thought it was impossible, that the human heart would literally explode if somebody was going to run a 4-minute mile. Guess what? He was able to do it. Within the next several months, there's like 28 people that were able to do it. Within the next year, there was like 150 people that were able to complete it. Even high schoolers can complete it. Why? Because it broke the self-limiting doubts. And right now in your life, why you don't have success in your fat loss, why you don't have success in your finances, why you don't have success in maybe your marriage and your career, is the story that you tell yourself up here. Your words have power. Your thoughts have so much power. And we talked about this yesterday on our coaching call, about how to deal with stress. And a lot has to do with just saying things differently to yourself. Having that internal conversation. Learning how to become your own best friend and biggest cheerleader. And thinking differently. But I firmly believe this. The reason why your life is not the way that how it is and how you want it to be one day is because of the people that you have surrounding you. That's it. Plain and simple. You become like the environment. You become like the people that's around you. Let's just say for just, for the sake of it. If let's just say that you are hanging around with multimillionaires every single day, those are your best buddies, and they're talking about stocks, they're talking about buying businesses, selling businesses, they're talking about investments, all this stuff. I'm pretty sure wherever you are in your life, you will gain more money. Why? Because you're hanging around with people and you're absorbing that knowledge subconsciously. Someone's telling you, oh man, just do this, just do this, just do this. You build that relationship with them, you start to trust them, you start doing it, guess what? You start making more money. Hang out with a bunch of people that, fit in with this crowd where all they care about is their favorite sports teams, just working so that way, for the weekends they can live it all up at the bar, just smashing some beers, drink, not caring at all, right? Come home from work dead tired. They don't care about, spending quality time with their family and leading better by example. They don't care about their own body type, and they don't care about, eating healthy and focusing on being more mentally clear. You hang around with those people, guess what? Your life's going to look like that. That's it. I can literally show you and tell you exactly where you're going to go in the next 5, 10, 15 years. And all I need is 2 things. I need to know, 1, who you're surrounding yourself with. 2, I want to just see your daily schedule. That's it. Because some of you guys say you're busy. You're not. You work 8, 9, maybe 10 hours a day, and you claim you're busy. You claim you can't do anything. You don't even have time to go take a poop because you're so busy. No. The problem is you're lazy. That's the reality. The problem is you don't know how to take ownership of your life. The problem is you're waiting for that magic fat loss pill and that magic lottery ticket to help you out and change your life and save it completely. It's never going to it's never going to exist, unfortunately. So 2 biggest things I learned from Tim Glover's book, Relentless, and hopefully this podcast shakes you up a little bit, makes you think a little bit different. So that way, just like Steve Jobs says, you cannot connect the dots looking forward in life. You can only connect the dots looking backwards in life. You can eventually look back and say, wow, I'm really glad that kid said this on that podcast. Because Joe changed my life because he changed the way that I thought about things. 2 biggest things I learned. 1, you got to go all in. You. Stop waiting for the perfect time. It's never going to happen. Make the decision, rip off the Band-Aid, go all in. 2, move towards pressure. Plain and simple. Embrace the pain. Stop being so mentally weak to where when life throws you curveballs, you just throw in the white towel and you give up. If you had people in your corner supporting you, I promise you that wouldn't be the case at all. So take it for what it is, guys. I really hope that you, once again, just get a little inspiration and just feel a little, maybe a punch in the gut today. Because sometimes that's what you need to help you get one step closer to where you're trying to get to in life. And all I'm trying to do is just help you get there. So guys, this has been the Heartletics podcast with Coach Joe. And as always, I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace out, Girl Scouts.